welcome back to Mixed Media. We are going to be discussing the news for the week. Well, how was your guys' week? Or actually 2 or 3 weeks, whatever it's been.
I mean, I don't know. For me, it's been nice to have a break. Kind of dig into some different art for study. Listening to things, watching different films. Talked about that on Discord. You can see my ranking of all the films I watched last year, both as films and then also as film scores. Kind of nice to have a little bit of a break.
Yeah, you seem a lot more energized, just observationally from my perspective, so that's cool. And also, I like that you ranked Vertigo so high. That movie's great. I really enjoyed that film.
That's a film. Speaking of spoilers, that I knew zero about. I knew the score from having played it at a recent concert, but I knew nothing about the film at all, and I guarantee, that's a film where you want to experience it, not knowing what's going to happen.
Exactly. That film is fantastic. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, for me, let's see, what happened in the last 2 weeks? A lot of holiday prep and, stuff like that. Spent time with the family. Yeah, it was very nice having a break some days, but I don't really have many breaks. Nathan knows that I was actually working on Christmas Eve, which was really sucky. But it was what it was. But, generally a little lighter on the work. Still doing the transition that I've been doing. Oh, here's a pretty big thing. Ariella is now an LLC. It is officially an LLC. Before it was a sole proprietorship. Basically, I was the same as my business. And I'll be talking about LLCs probably at some point on this show, in terms of whether you should make an LLC from an artist's perspective. So yeah, Ariella is an LLC based out of Wyoming. Ask me why later. But that's pretty much it for me.
Nice. My week was, I don't know, I was working on a lot of things. I'm making a game design document for a potential game I plan on making. I think that's all I got, pretty much.
Yeah, so, the biggest recent piece of music news is that David Bowie has sold his catalog of music for $250 million to Warner Chappell Music. And that's a it's an interesting trend in the just very recently in this phenomenon of some really big name artists selling their catalogs. Obviously David Bowie didn't, right? His estate, but Bruce Springsteen, Paul Simon, Bob Dylan, and Neil Young have all done this recently, and it kind of violates long-standing, rule almost. A vice that has kind of become a rule, but you retain the rights to your musical output. There's a lot of discussion about why this is happening now and why these big-name people are ignoring that and making astronomical sums of money. $250 million, and I don't know exactly how much Bruce Springsteen and Bob Dylan and Paul Simon's catalogs, but I think they made more than that. So huge amounts of money, and yeah, it's interesting to see whether the industry as a whole is going to kind of embrace that because these big people at the top are doing it, or whether it's just they're doing it because they have so much leverage and they know that they're going to use that leverage and get more money than they ever would have making off of royalties. The deals are all a little bit different. Some of them maintain performance royalties, or physically they maintain a physical ownership of master tapes. Some of them don't. So slight differences in all of these things, but it's interesting to see whether that trend is something that continues and whether it applies to people who aren't massive names from earlier generations.
Yeah, that's interesting for sure. I would like to know the reasons and all that. Cool. I guess I'll go next. So let's see. So I'm looking to do eventually, once we have enough supporters and locals, I'm looking to do like a little weekly economics show. We'll see what happens, exclusive to locals people. But in order for me to do something like that, make it worthwhile, you need to go to mixedmedia.locals.com or mixedmediapodcast.com and click the link to our locals page and support us for probably the next 20 minutes now that I've reminded myself that I need to do this. It's $3 a month on sale. So, and I'll be changing that today. So, interestingly, today I woke up, listened to some financial news, opened my Robinhood, and big dip in the stock market today. Like big dip in a relative sense, stock market is up like crazy the entire year. But the notable thing about that, the cause for that, is that the stock market essentially wants jobs to go down, oddly enough. I'm not going to explain that now. But the bad part is that jobs... So the good thing was for the stock market, I'm not saying this is a good thing in general, the good thing for the stock market is that jobs missed by like half the jobs that were expected were created, which normally people would think is a bad thing, but the stock market would think that's a good thing. But the coupled bad fact, the thing that couples with it that makes it super bad from the stock market's perspective, is that the wage inflation went up 7% annualized, right? So wages overall went up 7%. And there's a whole bunch of things I'm not going to bore you with, but essentially it's like a bunch of stagflation indicators started hitting. The biggest problem that we're going to see, I talked about in our inflation episode that you really need to check out. I have 2 inflation episodes that are super important. Please go check them out for your own sake. Stuff you should take into account and definitely learn. # not financial advice. But the interesting thing about wage price spiraling is essentially, wages go up, prices go up because the cost of making goods go up because the wages went up. Then the wages have to go up to compete with the cost of living, and then it just goes up and up and up and up. That's the spiral. So basically, we got the first signal of a wage price spiral, which I said was a really bad situation last time. So there is that. And if you think that 7% on a personal level is good, inflation is higher than that. So wage price spiraling is happening even though your real wages are going down. Okay, if that makes any sense to you. On the Alec Baldwin front, I've refrained from commenting for a while now, but because I've been trying to let it accumulate a little bit, because it's just an insane story. This has turned into like something I never thought it would ever turn into. I may have to do another episode that's more on the lol side of just how absurd the details that followed, my initial reading on the thing, which was, like I said, a lot of the details would change, but a lot of the interpersonal stuff is ridiculous. Like, man, it's just like, it's absurd. But he was served a subpoena or a search warrant rather, or I think a subpoena for his phone and a search warrant to search his home. So this was extremely surprising because my prediction was that he would never see the consequences for anything, despite what the law might say. And I still don't think he will. That's a whole other story I won't get into now. But this kind of segues into an episode I'll be doing later, which is going to surprise you a little bit. The CIA and Hollywood. It will connect later, so get hyped for that episode. I'm going to do a ton of research for it. It's going to be one of those. And it's going to be super interesting, hopefully. But what I'll say for now is someone may have wanted to know what this is in his phone rather than actually find evidence to charge him. That's all I'll say there. So that's the Alec Baldwin story. Also, he just talks too much. He's been incriminating himself ever since the thing happened, over and over again, and demonstrably lying many, many times, which is not a good thing to do. So there's that. The other thing is Sundance is going to go virtual this year. They just announced that they're going virtual again, just like they did last year. And the last thing I have to say is today, Sidney Poitier died. Pretty big name actor of like the 60s, the 70s, or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but he died today. He had an Oscar for Best Actor for Lilies of the Field, which I have not seen, but a lot of people are saying good things about him as a person and as an actor. I guess you expect that. So we'll see if I can check out one of his films. That's all I've got.
Nice. What I found out is that Death Stranding's director's cut was announced, and The Last of Us 2 also has a director's cut on the way. Now, what is a director's cut of a video game? I have no idea. It sounds scary. I'll say.
Wait, the guy had so much control over The Last of Us original cuts, order. That means theatrical cuts. I don't know what to call them.
What'd you say?
He has so much control over them. Why would he need a director's cut? Like, it's not like he was constrained by like the game studio, because he was not constrained at all. I watched the process of the making of that film.
Actually, that's also, I didn't even think about that. But also, like, I don't know, man. Like, okay, so director is not a title normally given to people in the video games industry, right?
Isn't he a creative director?
He's a creative director, yeah. He's a creative director, right? I'm going to assume that's what we're referring to here, right? We're going to the creative director's cut, right? Now, why, like, what are you adding that you didn't add before? Or subtracting, like, what are you cutting? I'm confused. Like, I don't know. Like, didn't you have the chance? Like, because I don't know. Unless like your publisher. Well, does Naughty Dog have a publisher? I don't know.
I think they're contracted by PlayStation. I don't know if that's technically a publisher or not. Yeah.
I don't know, because it's technically the creative director, I guess, is under the publisher normally, right? So the publisher doesn't, depending on the publisher, might be like non-existent for those parts, like, here's your money, return it please, or like, we need you to do this specifically, right? I mean, if they said, don't worry about it, or do whatever you want, then I don't know what your director's cut is going to be, right? It should have already been out already. If it's like something like, we're forcing you to do something, it's like, are you still not under the same publisher? Or like, what happens? I don't know. Also, I don't know. Yeah, okay. That's it. That's all I have.
Sounds like a money grab.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, it's just a way to sell a second version. And also, it's probably not as easy to make as like a movie, because a movie, you have the footage and then you just slap it in, or you take stuff out or whatever, and it's some editing. You use some editing magic, right? That's how you get the director's cut of that. For this, editing magic's not the same, because you can't just cut a clip out of a game. If you want to cut a part of a story out of the game, you're like ripping. You're like, it's like code. Like, depending on how it was done, it can be done in a very modular system where they coded some like. Even then, I don't know. There's so many systems at work here that all interplay and interlock and stuff like that, that I feel like it's going to be very hard to remove a section of the story to add a new one and stuff like that. Even if you already recorded the lines, it's like a technological problem. That's going to take some time, but whatever. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Okay, cool. This was the new segment. Or did you have something to say, Ben?
No.
Oh, okay,
I was just getting ready to say thank you for listening.
Okay. I've gotten so used to like looking to see if someone wants to speak so I can give people turns. But yeah, thank you for watching this week's episodes of Mixed Media. You're listening to the news segment, but there are 3 awesome other segments that you could check out if you go check out our page, our channel, wherever you're watching, whether you're on YouTube, Rumble, all the podcast platforms. I don't even remember where we're on anymore. We're pretty much everywhere. So go check those out. But where we congregate is our Discord. So go check out the link in the description. Wherever you are, there's going to be a link to our Discord where you can join our community, where we talk about film, music, gaming, art in general, I don't know, whatever. Basically, throughout the week, we continue the conversation there on Discord. And lastly, definitely go check out our locals page, mixedmedia.locals.com, or mixedmediapodcast.com for all the links to all of our socials and all of that jazz. I think that's pretty much it for housekeeping. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys next week.
Yeah, thanks for watching and listening.
Bye.
Bye.